Did you know that lowering your blood sugar fast has almost nothing to do with starving yourself or giving up every food you enjoy? In fact, the quickest way to bring your numbers down is to start adding the right foods to your plate, not stripping your plate bare. And I have watched this happen with my own eyes. Over the years, I have sat across from hundreds and hundreds of patients, many of them in their 60s, 70s, even their 80s, who turned their blood sugar around in a matter of days simply by adding the foods I am about to show you. And it was not a temporary dip either. They held those lower numbers for months, for years, many of them with less medication than before, and a good number with none at all. So in this video, I am going to walk you through the best foods to eat to lower your blood sugar fast. And more importantly, I am going to explain exactly why each one works inside your body so that you can use them with confidence. Not theory, not guesswork. The real reason your blood sugar climbs, and the real reason these foods bring it back down, gently, naturally, and in a way your body can hold on to. Before I show you the very first food, do me one small favor. If you would like more videos that actually explain the why behind your own body, instead of just sending you out the door with another prescription, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and leave me a comment telling me what your morning fasting number was this week. I genuinely read those comments, and the ages and the numbers you share with me shape the videos I make next. So let us get into it. Here is something almost no one takes the time to explain to you in a rushed 10-minute appointment. High blood sugar almost never starts with sugar itself. It starts upstream with a hormone called insulin. Let me explain it the way I wish every doctor would. Insulin is the key that unlocks your cells so that glucose, which is simply the sugar floating in your blood, can leave your bloodstream and get inside the cell, where it is supposed to be turned into energy. That is its whole job. Insulin knocks on the door of the cell, the door opens, and the sugar goes in where it belongs. But when you have spent years, sometimes decades, riding the blood sugar roller coaster, up and down, something changes. Your cells stop answering the door. Insulin knocks, and the door stays shut. We call that insulin resistance. And here is what your body does in response. Your pancreas panics and pumps out more and more insulin, trying to force that door open. But the sugar still cannot get in, so it stays in your blood, and your numbers climb anyway. And then, far too often, the only answer offered is a pill or an injection that pushes even more insulin into a body that is already drowning in it. Now, I want to be fair here. This is not because anyone is trying to harm you. It is simply that there is no time and no money in a short office visit to sit down and teach you how the food on your fork talks directly to your cells. That conversation takes longer than 10 minutes. So that is the conversation I'm going to have with you right now. My name is Dr. Eric Wells, and in more than 15 years of practice, I have learned that every single one of the foods I am about to share does one of three simple jobs inside your body. It either slows the sugar coming in so your blood is never flooded all at once, or it cools the quiet inflammation that keeps your cells deaf to insulin, or it wakes the insulin receptor itself back up so that your own body starts doing the work it was beautifully designed to do. You do not have to do all of these tomorrow. You are not going to overhaul your whole kitchen overnight, and at our age, there is no need to. You add them in slowly, one at a time over the next couple of weeks, and you let them stack on top of each other. Let me show you the first one. The first food is cinnamon, and there is a very good chance you already have a jar of it sitting in your cupboard right now. But here is the catch, and almost everyone gets this part wrong. The kind of cinnamon you have matters enormously. The common cinnamon you find on most grocery shelves is called cassia, and it carries a natural compound called coumarin that, taken in large amounts every single day, can be hard on your liver. The kind you actually want is Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes labeled as true cinnamon. It is gentler, it is far safer to take daily, and it is the one I tell my own patients to look for. So what makes cinnamon work? It is rich in natural plant compounds called polyphenols, and these compounds behave almost like insulin themselves. They help your insulin receptors grip onto glucose more tightly, and they slow down how fast your stomach empties after a meal. The effect is real, and it has been measured. Researchers studying adults with type 2 diabetes found that under half a teaspoon of cinnamon a day meaningfully lowered their fasting glucose. Think about that. Something already sitting in your kitchen, costing you almost nothing, doing the work of helping your numbers come down. If you walk past this one, you are leaving an easy win sitting right there on your spice rack. To use it, take about a quarter to a half teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon a day. Stir it into your morning oatmeal, into your coffee, or into a smoothie if you make them. And here is the little trick. Try to take it alongside a meal that has some carbohydrate in it, because that is exactly the moment you want your receptors gripping harder and your stomach slowing down. The second food is fenugreek seeds. Now, I know that name might sound a little exotic, and some of you have never reached for it in your life. But please do not ignore this one just because it is unfamiliar, because you would be walking right past one of the most powerful blood sugar tools on the entire shelf, and it costs less than a single cup of coffee. You will find these small, hard, amber-colored seeds in the spice aisle of almost any grocery store, and increasingly in the regular supermarket too. Here is what fenugreek does inside you. The seed is packed with a special soluble fiber. When that fiber meets the water in your stomach, it swells up into a thick, soft gel. And that gel physically slows down how quickly your stomach passes carbohydrates along into your intestine. Slower emptying means the sugar trickles into your blood instead of flooding it all at once. No flood, no giant spike, and no panic flood of insulin in response. On top of that, fenugreek carries a natural compound that gently nudges your pancreas to release insulin more efficiently and helps your muscle cells pull in glucose. In my own practice, I have watched fasting numbers come down within a week or two on this seed alone. To use it, take 1 teaspoon of the whole seeds and soak them overnight in a glass of water. In the morning, drink that water and eat the softened seeds before your breakfast. If the slightly bitter taste is too much for you, and for some of my patients it is, simply grind the seeds and stir half a teaspoon into your yogurt, or sprinkle it over your eggs. Start small. This fiber is strong, and your gut needs a few days to get used to it, especially as we get older. The third food is broccoli sprouts, and I want you to lean in and pay close attention here, because this is the single most underused food in this entire video. And notice I did not say broccoli. I said broccoli sprouts, those tiny little 3-day-old sprouts. Miss that distinction, and you miss almost the entire benefit. Broccoli sprouts are absolutely loaded with a compound called sulforaphane, and here is the remarkable part. Those little sprouts contain somewhere between 50 and 100 times more of it than a full-grown head of broccoli. And sulforaphane does something that none of the other foods on this list do quite so directly. It travels to your liver, and it quiets down what I call the overnight sugar factory. You see, your liver actually makes sugar while you sleep, and in insulin resistance, it makes far too much of it. That is the reason so many of you wake up in the morning, having eaten nothing all night, and find your fasting number is somehow the highest reading of your whole day. A study from a university in Sweden gave concentrated sulforaphane to people with type 2 diabetes and brought their fasting blood sugar down measurably, and the strongest effect was seen in exactly the people whose sugar was hardest to control. You can grow broccoli sprouts yourself right on your kitchen counter in a simple glass jar for pennies, or you can buy them ready to go in the produce section. A small handful, about a quarter cup, on a salad or a sandwich most days is plenty. One important thing, do not cook them hard, because high heat destroys the very compound that makes them work. Eat them raw, or just barely wilted. So far, notice that every food has done the same quiet, gentle work, slowing the sugar down or waking the receptor back up. And we are only 3 foods in. The next several are the ones that quietly transform the meals you are already eating. And if you have a husband, a wife, a brother, sister, or a friend who is fighting their own numbers right now, do send them this video, because this is exactly the kind of thing nobody ever sat them down and explained. The fourth food is the avocado. Now, a lot of people, especially in our generation, were taught for years to fear the avocado because of the fat and the calories. And that old fear has cost a great many people dearly. The fat inside an avocado is monounsaturated fat, the very same healthy family of fat found in olive oil, and it is one of the most blood sugar-friendly things you can possibly put on your plate. The reason is simple and elegant. That healthy fat, working together with the fiber inside the avocado, slows your entire meal down. When you add half an avocado to a plate of rice or a slice of toast, you are not taking the carbohydrate away. You are simply putting a brake on how fast that carbohydrate turns into blood sugar. So instead of a sharp spike, the glucose climbs gently and slowly. And monounsaturated fat has also been shown to improve insulin sensitivity, which is just a way of saying it helps your cells answer that insulin knock a little faster. In my experience, this is the easiest food of them all to turn into a daily habit because it makes your meal more filling and satisfying, so you are not reaching for a snack an hour later. Half an avocado a day is a sensible amount. Put it on your eggs in the morning, mash it onto a piece of whole grain toast, or add it to a salad that already has a starch in it. Anywhere you have a carbohydrate, an avocado softens the blow. The fifth food is chia seeds. These are tiny little gray and black seeds, and they punch far, far above their size. If you have ever seen chia sit in a glass of liquid and slowly turn into a soft pudding, then you have already seen with your own eyes exactly how it works inside your stomach. Chia is one of the richest sources of soluble fiber you can buy anywhere. When it meets the water in your stomach, it forms that same thick, soothing gel we talked about with the fenugreek. And that gel wraps itself around the carbohydrates in your meal and slows their absorption right down to a crawl. The sugar releases slowly and steadily, so you avoid both the spike and the crash that leaves you shaky, tired, and hungry an hour after eating. Chia also carries a plant-based omega-3 fat that helps calm the low-level inflammation sitting quietly underneath insulin resistance. And remember what I told you. When you cool that inflammation, your cells start listening to insulin again. 1 to 2 tablespoons a day does the job nicely. Stir it into your yogurt, drop it into a glass of water with a little squeeze of lemon, or blend it into a smoothie. Give it about 10 minutes to gel before you drink it, and please drink plenty of water alongside it, because all that fiber needs liquid to move through you comfortably. That matters even more as we get older. The sixth food is fatty fish, and I mean salmon and mackerel in particular. This one does not work by slowing your meal down. This one works on the deeper problem, the very reason your cells went deaf to insulin in the first place. As I told you earlier, insulin resistance is driven in large part by chronic, quiet inflammation. When your body has been gently inflamed year after year, that inflammation physically gets in the way of the insulin signal right at the surface of the cell. Salmon and mackerel are loaded with two special omega-3 fats called EPA and DHA, and these are among the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory compounds we have ever discovered. They lower the inflammatory signals in your body, the cell membrane becomes healthier, and the insulin receptor starts working the way it was always meant to. In all my years of practice, the patients who eat fatty fish twice a week consistently have calmer, steadier numbers, and very often better blood pressure to go along with it. Aim for 2 servings a week, each one about the size of the palm of your hand. Wild salmon, mackerel, sardines, and herring are all wonderful choices. Bake it, grill it, or if it is easier on your budget, buy it canned. And let me say this clearly, because I know many of you are watching every dollar. Canned mackerel and canned sardines are some of the cheapest and most powerful foods in this entire video. Do not let the low price fool you into thinking they are any less valuable. The seventh food is walnuts. Of all the nuts in the world, this is the one I point my patients toward first because of what it does for the lining of your blood vessels and for your insulin at the very same time. Walnuts are rich in healthy polyunsaturated fat and the same plant-based omega-3 found in chia. That fat improves the function of your endothelium, which is the thin, delicate lining on the inside of your blood vessels, and that lining is one of the very first things that high blood sugar quietly damages over the years. At the same time, the fat, the fiber, and the protein inside walnuts blunt the rise in blood sugar after a meal, and they have been shown to lower fasting insulin, which is the number sitting underneath your blood sugar that tells us how hard your poor pancreas is straining. Eat a small handful of walnuts as a snack instead of crackers or a cookie, and you have taken what would have been a sugar spike and turned it into a flat, calm line. A small handful is about a quarter cup, or roughly 7 to 10 whole walnuts. Keep them raw or dry roasted, not the candied or honey-coated kind that fill the shelves around the holidays. And here is the key. Use them to replace a processed snack, not to pile on top of one. The eighth food is eggs. Whole eggs, yolk and all. For many years, you and I were both told that the yolk was the enemy, and that bad advice pushed a whole generation towards sugary breakfast cereals that were far, far worse for your blood sugar. So let me set that record straight once and for all. A whole egg is almost pure protein and healthy fat, with virtually no carbohydrate at all, which means that on its own, it barely moves your blood sugar in the slightest. But here is the real magic, something doctors call the second meal effect. When you begin your day with eggs instead of toast or cereal, you steady your blood sugar not just at breakfast, but all the way through to your lunch. You walk into your next meal with calmer numbers and a smaller spike. And the protein and the fat keep you genuinely full, so those mid-morning cravings that march you straight to the cookie jar simply fade away. In my practice, swapping a bowl of cereal for 2 or 3 eggs is one of the single fastest changes I ever see on a morning glucose reading. 2 or 3 whole eggs in the morning is a solid target for most people. Scramble them, boil a batch ahead of time for the whole week, or fold in some spinach. And here is a lovely little tip. Put that avocado from earlier right on top, and you have just built yourself a nearly perfect blood sugar breakfast. The ninth food is apple cider vinegar, and this one has the fastest visible effect on a glucose meter of anything on this entire list. If you have a meter at home, and many of you do, you can actually watch this one go to work for you tonight. The active ingredient is something called acetic acid, and it does two helpful things at the very same time. It slows your stomach from emptying, so the carbohydrates in your meal arrive in your bloodstream gradually instead of all at once. And it helps your muscles pull glucose out of your blood and burn it for fuel. The research here is genuinely strong. Studies found that a single tablespoon of vinegar taken before a carbohydrate meal lowered the after-meal blood sugar spike by roughly 20 to 30% in people with insulin resistance. That is a medication-sized effect from something that costs just a few dollars a bottle. Now please listen carefully to how you use this one, because it matters. Take 1 tablespoon, and this part is important, diluted in a full glass of water about 10 to 15 minutes before a meal that contains carbohydrates. Always dilute it. Never, ever drink it straight, because the acid is hard on your tooth enamel and on your throat. And one more crucial point. If you already take any medication for your blood sugar, please talk to your doctor before you start, because vinegar combined with that medication can push your sugar down faster than you might expect. The 10th food is lentils, and this one proves the entire point of this video. Lentils are a carbohydrate, and yet lentils will lower your blood sugar. Let me show you how that is possible. Lentils are built from a slow, gentle carbohydrate called resistant starch, wrapped up together with soluble fiber and a generous helping of plant protein. That combination means the glucose inside the lentil is released into your blood slowly and steadily over several hours, instead of all at once. And just like the eggs, they carry that second meal effect too. So a warm bowl of lentil soup at lunch gives you steadier sugar all the way into your evening. In my own clinic, swapping white rice or white potato for lentils a few times a week is one of the most reliable ways I know to bring down an A1C, which is simply your 3-month average blood sugar. Aim for half a cup to a cup of cooked lentils a few times a week. Use them in a soup, in a hearty stew, or in a cold salad with a little olive oil and a splash of that vinegar we just talked about. They are filling, they are inexpensive, and they stretch a meal further than almost anything else in your kitchen. Now let me tell you about one of my patients. I will call her Margaret. She was 68 years old, recently retired, and she came into my office genuinely frightened. Her fasting sugar was sitting up around 180, and her own doctor had just told her it was time to add a second medication. Margaret did not want to spend the rest of her life climbing higher and higher up that medication ladder. And more than that, she was scared of where all of this was heading, because she had watched her own mother lose her toes and then slowly lose her eyesight to this very same disease. So here is what we did together, and I want you to notice, we did not strip the carbohydrates out of her life. We did not put her on some miserable, impossible diet that no person in their late 60s is going to keep up. Instead, we added. We swapped her morning cereal for 2 eggs and half an avocado. We had her take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in water before her larger meals. We swapped lentils in for the white rice. We replaced the afternoon cookie with a small handful of walnuts. We put fatty fish on her plate twice a week, stirred Ceylon cinnamon into her coffee, and laid a few broccoli sprouts on her sandwich at lunch. Within the very first week, her fasting numbers began to drop. Within 3 months, working hand in hand with her own doctor the entire way, she had come off that second medication completely, and her A1C had moved out of the diabetic range and back toward normal. And here is the part I love the most. 2 years later, it is held. She did not starve herself. She did not go hungry. She actually ate more food than before, just the right food. And her own body did the rest of the work, exactly as it was designed to. So let me tie all 10 of these foods together for you, because this is the very reason they succeed where simply cutting carbohydrates so often fails. Every single one of these foods is quietly handing your insulin its job back without ever starving you in the process. The fiber foods, the fenugreek, the chia, the lentils, the avocado, slow the glucose down so your pancreas never has to panic. The fish, the walnuts, and the chia cool down the inflammation that was jamming the signal. And the cinnamon and the vinegar walk right up to the insulin receptor and help it grip again. Do that meal after meal, day after day, and that cell which had stopped answering the door, slowly, surely, starts opening it again on the very first knock. That, in plain language, is what reversing insulin resistance truly means at the level of the cell. And once that happens, your body begins holding your sugar down all on its own. Which is exactly why Margaret's numbers stayed low for 2 full years. Now, before I give you tonight's simple plan, I need to draw one very clear and important line for you, and I need you to take it seriously. If you are currently on insulin, or on one of the older blood sugar pills, these foods can lower your sugar fast enough that your current medication dose may suddenly be too strong for you. And that can drop your sugar too low, which is dangerous, especially at our age. So please, add these foods with your own doctor watching your numbers and let them gently walk your medication dose down as your body improves. Do not, under any circumstances, stop a prescription on your own. Instead, bring this very list with you to your next appointment and have that conversation together. So here is exactly what to do starting tonight. 5 simple steps, nothing complicated. Step 1. Tomorrow morning, replace your cereal or your toast with 2 or 3 whole eggs and half an avocado. That single swap changes your blood sugar for the entire day. Step 2. Tonight, soak 1 teaspoon of fenugreek seeds in a glass of water and drink it first thing in the morning. Step 3. Pick up some Ceylon cinnamon, not the common cassia kind, and start with a 1/4 teaspoon a day in your coffee or your oatmeal. Step 4. Before your biggest carbohydrate meal tomorrow, take 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in a full glass of water, about 15 minutes ahead of time. And step 5. This week, swap white rice or white potato for lentils at least twice, and put fatty fish on the menu 2 evenings. Stack these foods in slowly over the next 2 weeks. Remember, you are not taking away the foods you love. You are simply adding in the foods that protect you. Now, everything we have done today works to bring your sugar down during the day and after your meals. But a great many of you have written to me describing the very same strange thing. You tell me that your highest reading of the entire day is first thing in the morning, before you have eaten a single bite of food. You fasted all night long, and yet your sugar climbed anyway. There is a very specific reason your liver does this while you sleep, and there is a real way to shut it down. I have made another video that explains exactly what is happening overnight inside your body, and how you can wake up to a lower number on your meter. I will put that video right here on the screen for you. Go and watch that one next, and I will see you there.